Alright, let's talk about Bugonia. I just stumbled out of the theatre feeling like I'd spent 2 hours being gently waterboarded by a genius. And I say that with the deepest affection. If you've ever seen a Yorgos Lanthimos film, you already know to check your expectations, your common sense, and maybe your will to live at the door. His movies don't just walk the line between brilliant and completely unhinged. They build a fence on that line and then have a deeply awkward three-legged dance party around it. Bugonia is no exception. It's his latest masterwork of misery, and man, does it hit differently when it's pointed straight at our current cultural hell. The premise alone sounds like a fever dream I had after eating expired cheese and doom scrolling on Twitter. You've got Teddy, played by a magnificent, wonderfully unhinged Jesse Plemons, a beekeeper who's convinced he's the only guy with a working brain cell left on the planet. He's got the whole cosmic kit and caboodle, and he's tied it all up in one neat, horrifying little bow. Aliens. Specifically, a species called the Andromedans, and he believes they've already infiltrated Earth. His target? Michelle Fuller, the high-powered CEO of some soulless pharmaceutical monolith, played with surgical, ice-cold precision by Emma Stone. Teddy and his gentle, easily led cousin Don decide the only way to save humanity is to grab her and lock her in her basement. The real meat of this film isn't the kidnapping though. It's a two-person intellectual cage match that takes place down there. It's pure, uncut, Walt Tracy pen dialogue, and it is a feast. On one side, you have Teddy spewing encyclopedic knowledge of crackpot theories, convinced of his righteous mission to expose the alien in the room. He's a guy who cycled through every fringe group only to ditch them all because he realized they were all just pathetic larpers trying to brand themselves. He's looking for an actual cause, and now he thinks he's found it in intergalactic defense. On the other side is Stone's Michelle, chained up, shaved bald, and slathered in some kind of medicinal lotion, yet somehow still radiating a terrifying multi-million-dollar corporate authority. Her reaction to being held hostage isn't screaming, it's negotiating. She doesn't talk like a human being, she talks like a bad email chain. Her vocabulary is an absolute minefield of empty corporate jargon. Let's dialogue on this. We need to unpack your trauma, or the utterly maddening instance on having an honest talk and a safe space. Lanthimos is absolutely laying into the modern corporate world's hollow, sanitized attempts to manage empathy, and frankly, I was living for it. If you've ever sat in a meeting where someone suggests circling back to a mental breakdown, you'll be laughing until you cry. It's a hilarious, vicious takedown of how the professional world has co-opted every shred of genuine human emotion and turned it into a managerial tool. The genius of the acting here is that you genuinely don't know whom to hate more. Plemons portrays Teddy as strangely sympathetic. He's a man whose legitimate climate grief and personal trauma warped into something totally insane. He's not a cardboard villain, he's just deeply, tragically broken. Meanwhile, Michelle is such a heartless capitalist ice queen that when Teddy points a weapon at her, you think, well, she did authorize that opioid trial. And let me just say, Emma Stone, covered in white goo and radiating pure menace, give her the award right now. It is a commitment to the bit that few other actors would dare attempt. Oh, and shout out to Aidan Delbis as Don. He's the only character with even a shred of innocence, the unwitting moral compass of this nightmare chamber, and his performance is an absolute knockout. Lanthimos has left behind the baroque surrealism of films like Poor Things and traded it in for something far more unnerving. Our actual, ugly world cranked up to a fever pitch. The film is shot on 35mm, radiating a sickly, oversaturated palette of reds and browns that makes the whole environment feel like a dirty wound. He leans heavily on unsettling ultra-wide angle lenses which warp their characters' faces and make the already cramped basement feel like a claustrophobic fishbowl. You watch Teddy's face bulge and distort on the screen, and it's a brilliant visual shorthand for his warped perspective. It's beautiful and disgusting all at once. Pacing wise, I will not lie, this is vintage Lanthimos. It's not a popcorn thriller. The middle section, where we are locked into the conversation between captor and hostage, drags a little. It's deliberate, a test of the viewer's patience, but it definitely feels like you're doing time with them. If you're waiting for things to move, you'll be tapping your foot. But the slow burn is the point, building the tension until the whole thing detonates. And when it detonates, propelled by Jiskin Fendrick's jarring, intestine-shreddingly clamorous orchestral score, it becomes truly unforgettable. The last act is what everyone will talk about, and it's where the film will get its divisive reputation. Lanthimos is not here to hand you a satisfying 3-act conclusion. He throws an impossible swerve that retroactively changes the entire meaning of the preceding 2 hours, pivoting from dark comedy to a genuinely bleak apocalyptic warning. It's a true-to-form act of cinematic mischief that will either make you bark with laughter or want to throw your shoe at the screen. You're left with a conclusion that feels like a colossal misanthropic joke played on humanity itself. Is Bugonia worthy? Yes. But you need to know what you're signing up for. This isn't entertainment, it's cinematic arsenic. It's a challenging, occasionally maddening film that takes aim at everything wrong with contemporary society. The corporate phoniness, the self-righteous extremism, and the desperate search for meaning in a dying world. It concludes that we are all, without exception, pathetic morons. It's funny because it's true, and sad because it's also true. It's not the crowd pleaser that Poor Things was, nor is it as elusive as Kinds of Kindness. It is, however, Lanthimos operating at his most surgically precise with 2 of the best performances of the year. If you enjoy having your comfort zone repeatedly stabbed by a beautiful shot, blackly comic dagger, then this is the movie for you. Go see it, but maybe don't take your alien-obsessed uncle.